Throughout history, we've come across puzzling artifacts that have left archaeologists and historians scratching their heads in wonder. These unique objects have long kept their secrets hidden. However, new research from University College London has started to resolve their mysteries. But it turns out these artifacts may have been vital in building massive, ancient structures. Join us as we unravel some of these mysterious objects scattered across time, whose mysteries have finally been solved. Number 10. Folton Drums. The Folton Drums are an extraordinary set of 3 chalk objects shaped like drums or solid cylinders, created during the Neolithic period. These unique artifacts were discovered in the grave of a child near the village of Folton in northern England. Today, they are displayed at the Stonehedge Visitor Centre, thanks to a loan from the British Museum. The true purpose of these drums remains a mystery. They were named drums, based purely on their shape, not because they were believed to be musical instruments. In 1889, an ancient burial mound known as a barrow was opened by William Greenwell, a scholar and amateur archaeologist near Folton in North Yorkshire. Inside, he found a Neolithic grave dating back to the time of Stonehedge, estimated to be between 2600 and 2000 BC. Among the remains was a child, buried alongside the 3 chalk drums. The rarity and the intricate design of these artifacts suggest that the child belonged to a privileged or elite group in society. 4 years after their discovery, Greenwell donated the drums, along with other items from his collection, to the British Museum. The Folton drums are crafted from locally sourced chalk and are beautifully decorated with stylized human faces and geometric patterns. The tops of the cylinders feature concentric circles, and 2 of the drums display pairs of eyes that symbolize a human face. The designs on these drums share similarities with objects from the beaker culture and the early British Bronze Age, particularly in the use of chevron and lozenge patterns. In 2018, a study suggested that the circumferences of the drums align with whole number divisions of 10 long feet, a unit of measurement believed to have been commonly used in Neolithic Britain. This has led researchers to propose that the drums may have served as measuring tools, helping to ensure consistency in construction across different sites. The diameters and circumferences of the drums also follow a mathematical harmonic sequence. According to Professor Andrew Chamberlain, the presence of these measuring devices indicates a sophisticated understanding of geometry and the mathematical properties of circles in prehistoric Britain. The study also proposed that the drums might have been ceremonial objects, surviving to this day because they were made of chalk, a material more durable than wood, which was likely used for similar objects that have since decayed. In 2018, children's writer and poet Michael Rosen wrote a poem titled Folton Drums in connection with the University of Reading's Grave Goods project. The Folton drums were featured in the 2022 World of Stonehenge exhibition at the British Museum, marking the first time the drums were displayed to the public. Number 9. The Burton Agnes Drum. The Burton Agnes drum is a beautifully carved chalk cylinder that dates back to around 3005 to 2890 BC. It was discovered in 2015 near the village of Burton Agnes in East Riding of Yorkshire, England. The British Museum has called it the most important piece of prehistoric art found in Britain in the last century, and one of the most remarkable ancient objects ever discovered on the British Isles. This ancient drum was found in the burial site of 3 children, alongside a chalk ball and a bone pin. It was uncovered by archaeologist Alice Beasley, who was working for Allen Archaeology under the guidance of director Mark Allen. The discovery was made during a routine investigation, which was part of the planning process for building a biogas power station on the Burton Agnes estate. Alice Beasley recalled the moment she found the drum. It was the middle of winter, and the weather was awful. To come across something so rare is incredible. We were carefully working around the skeleton's heads when the drum emerged, and we instantly knew we had found something extraordinary. Mark Allen, the director of the archaeological team, was equally impressed. He commented, "The intricate carvings on the drum are truly a sight to behold. They show the great skill of the person who made it. We're still researching the drum, the burials, and the surrounding area, and we look forward to sharing more about our findings in the future. The Burton Agnes drum bears a striking resemblance to the Folton Drums, which were found in Folton, Yorkshire, about 15 miles away in 1889. These, in turn, are linked to the Levant Drum discovered in Levant, Sussex, in 1917-90. In 2022, the Burton Agnes drum was displayed to the public for the first time during the World of Stonehenge exhibition at the British Museum, where it was showcased alongside the 3 Folton drums. Number 8. The Levant Drum. The Levant drum is a small, cylindrical object made of Neolithic chalk that was found in 1993. It resembles other ancient drums like the Folton drums, which were discovered more than 100 years earlier, and the Burton Agnes drum. Unlike the Folton drums, the Levant drum has no decorations, though any original markings may have worn away over time. The drum was found alongside a piece of Mortlake pottery, suggesting it dates from the Middle Neolithic period. Today, it's kept at the Novium Museum in Chichester. In 2019, researchers Ann Tether, Andrew Chamberlain, and Mike Parker Pearson suggested that the Folton and Levant drums might have been used to measure lengths of cord with great precision, which could have been essential in building large monuments like Stonehenge and the Timber Circle at Durrington Walls. The size of the drums matches specific measurements used in the Neolithic era, with each drum's circumference corresponding to a part of a unit called the Neolithic longfoot. They propose that one of these long feet is about 1.056 modern feet. For instance, the Levant drum's circumference of 361.3 millimeters fits into this measurement system as 1/9 of 10 long feet. The drum was unearthed in 1993 during the excavation of Chalk Pit Lane in Levant, West Sussex. Unfortunately, the results of the excavation were never published because the organization handling the dig, Southern Archaeology, went bankrupt. This organization had taken over from the Chichester and District Archaeology Unit, which originally carried out the work. In 2025, Ann Tether identified the Levant drum as being similar to the Folton drum. The Levant drum might not be as complete as the Folton drums. It has fewer carvings and designs compared to the Folton drums, which are much more decorated. Number 7. Warangal. In the historical region of Telangana, India, the Kakatiya dynasty once thrived, leaving behind amazing architectural wonders like the Warangal Fort and a temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. These structures, thought to date back to at least the 12th century, still amaze us with their strength, having survived countless invasions over the centuries. The fort, built from perfectly fitted granite blocks without any mortar, stands as proof of ancient engineering skill. The gates of Warangal are decorated with beautifully carved pillars, showing detailed images of birds, mythical creatures, and lotus symbols, very different from the usual religious symbols of that time. The accuracy with which these structures were built over 800 years ago remains a fascinating mystery. The city has a rich past, once being the capital of the Kakatiya dynasty, which started in 1163. The Kakatiyas left behind an amazing legacy of buildings, including forts, calm lakes, old temples, and large stone gates. These historic treasures have made Warangal a major tourist spot today. The Kakatiya Kalathoranam, one of the famous stone gates, is so important that it was included in the emblem of Telangana by the state government. Warangal is often honored as the cultural capital of Telangana. Warangal has also received national attention. It is one of just 11 cities across India selected for the Heritage City Development and Augmentation Yojana (HRIDE) scheme, which aims to protect and develop heritage cities. Additionally, Warangal was chosen as a smart city in a fast-track competition, which means it will get extra funding to improve its city infrastructure and increase industrial opportunities. Number 6. Stonehedge. Stonehenge is an ancient wonder wrapped in layers of mystery, magic, and monumental secrets. Its name, Stonehedge, comes from Old English, with stan meaning stone and hedge, suggesting something like a hinge. This could refer to the way the massive stones appear to be connected, as if hinged together in their towering formations. But this simple name holds the key to a much deeper, ancient story. Looking back in time to when Stonehenge was just a simple earthwork, a circular ditch known as a hedge, built around 3100 BC. This wasn't just any ordinary hedge. It marked the beginning of something far greater. Over centuries, Stonehenge evolved in phases, starting with the creation of a large ditch and bank, and a ring of timber posts or stones at its center. But the true marvel began around 2500 BC, when enormous stones, some weighing up to tons, were brought from Wales, nearly 150 miles away. The logistics of moving such massive stones remain one of Stonehenge's greatest mysteries. Recent DNA studies have revealed surprising insights into the builders of this monumental structure. Far from being isolated, these ancient people were deeply connected across Europe, sharing knowledge and culture. Stonehenge was more than just a local project. It was part of a vast, interconnected world. The early phases of Stonehenge laid the foundation for a structure that would stand the test of time. One of the most famous myths links Stonehenge to Merlin, the legendary wizard from Arthurian legend. According to medieval chronicles, Merlin used his magical powers to transport the stones from Ireland to England. This tale suggests that Stonehenge was originally built by giants in Ireland, and that Merlin moved the stones as part of his quest to help King Arthur. Another ancient myth claims that Stonehenge was built by giants from across the seas, who erected the stones with their immense strength. This story has been passed down through various folktales, leaving behind a monument that still stands as a pointer to their power. In the 17th and 18th centuries, many believed that Stonehenge was a temple built by ancient Druids, the priestly class of Celtic culture. This idea, popularized by antiquarians, remains a significant part of modern folklore, despite the lack of historical evidence to support it. Some myths suggest that Stonehenge was built by ancient astronomers who had advanced knowledge of the cosmos. It's believed that the structure was used to predict astronomical events, with the stones perfectly aligning to frame the rising and setting sun during the summer and winter solstices, hinting at a deep connection to the changing seasons. In medieval times, people believed that Stonehenge had mystical healing powers. It was thought that the site could cure ailments and illnesses, with many making pilgrimages to the stones in hopes of receiving divine healing. According to some local legends, Stonehenge is said to be the work of the devil. One tale claims that the devil himself put the stones in place, angry that he had been frustrated in his attempt to build a church. He then left the stones as a sign of his displeasure. From early restoration efforts to the pressures of mass tourism, Stonehenge has faced challenges that have shaped its current form. In the 19th century, Stonehenge began attracting attention from scholars and the public alike. Early visitors were often allowed to walk among the stones with little regard for their preservation. But as the 20th century dawned, concerns grew about the site's deteriorating condition. Throughout the 20th century, Stonehenge underwent several restoration projects aimed at stabilizing the stones and protecting them from further damage. In the 1950s, some stones were even re-erected after centuries of leaning or falling. These efforts, while controversial, were necessary to preserve the monument for future generations. But not all of Stonehenge's history is about preservation. The site has also been a target of vandalism over the years. In the past, visitors would often chip away pieces of the stones as souvenirs, and graffiti marred the ancient site. These acts of vandalism have left their mark, but they have also led to stricter protections and a renewed commitment to safeguarding Stonehenge. Today, visitors are kept at a respectful distance, and security measures are in place to ensure that Stonehenge remains protected from further harm. The balance between allowing access and preserving the site is a delicate one. but it's essential for maintaining the integrity of this ancient monument. Beyond its physical presence, Stonehedge has left a lasting mark on popular culture. Number 5. Egypt's Great Pyramids. Workers under Pharaoh Djoser are putting the finishing touches on one of the ancient world's grandest building projects, a pyramid. While we can't say for certain which was the very first Egyptian pyramid, Djoser's pyramid is one of the earliest. It stands 205 feet tall and covers a base of 358 by 397 feet. There are many pyramids in the same area, with at least 118 known Egyptian pyramids still existing today. Most of these are remarkably well preserved, including the most famous, the Great Pyramid of Giza. This pyramid was the tallest man-made structure on Earth for about 4,000 years, until it was surpassed by Lincoln Cathedral in England in 1311. Standing 480 feet tall, it was built from around 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing between 50 and 80 tons. The sheer number of blocks and their weight suggest that a massive workforce, estimated by ancient Greek and Roman historians to be around 100,000 people, was needed for construction. But it's not just the size that's impressive. The Great Pyramid is one of the most precisely built structures ever. It is aligned to the true north within 1/20th of a degree, an astounding feat for its era. The base of the pyramid is almost a perfect square, with only a 5.5-inch difference between the western and eastern sides. In the 1820s, when hieroglyphics were first translated, they revealed that the pyramids were believed to be tombs for pharaohs. As more hieroglyphics were translated, it became clear that the pyramids might have served another purpose as well. Around 2300 to 2400 BC, some pyramids, like those in Saqqara, were inscribed with texts known as the pyramid texts. These texts, written in vertical lines, cover the walls of many pyramids and suggest that the pyramids might have been intended as a guide to the afterlife. They describe the pharaoh's soul, or Ka, traveling to the heavens to live eternally among the gods. In 1994, Belgian engineer Robert Bauval and British historian Adrian Gilbert published The Orion Mystery, which became a bestseller. Their book proposed the Orion correlation theory, suggesting that the pyramids of Giza were aligned with the stars in Orion's belt. In 2012, Belgian author Philip Coppens expanded on this idea, suggesting that the pyramids might have been designed to transport the physical bodies of pharaohs to the heavens, though he didn't explain how the bodies would have stayed in the sky. Coppens pointed out that many sarcophagi found inside the pyramids are empty, which is often attributed to grave robbers. However, he cited cases where burial chambers remained untouched, but were still empty when opened by archaeologists. He suggested that the pyramids might have been involved in moving the pharaohs' bodies to an unknown location after burial. The construction of the pyramids was a major focus for about 300 to 400 years, within a civilization that lasted around 2,000 years. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, a new theory emerged. The pyramids might have served a practical purpose beyond burial. In 1998, engineer Christopher Dunn published a book suggesting that the pyramids were not tombs, but devices for generating electrical power. According to Dunn, the word pyramid can be broken into pi, meaning fire, and mid, meaning middle, suggesting that the pyramid's core was an energetic environment. Dunn's theory examines the Great Pyramid's internal layout, which includes a subterranean chamber, the Queen's Chamber, and the King's Chamber. Traditional views see these as tombs, but no remains or funerary objects have been found inside. Dunn and American engineer John Cadman proposed that these chambers might have functioned as a sort of water pump. Water would flow from an ancient lake through tunnels into the Queen's Chamber and then out to the Nile River. Cadman's experiments with a model of the pyramid suggest that this system could create vibrations that might shake the entire structure. Dunn further theorizes that the Great Pyramid acted as a coupled oscillator, transforming vibrations into energy. He also connects this idea to findings in the Queen's chamber, where traces of salt and gypsum suggest a chemical reaction might have occurred. Dunn proposes that chemicals like hydrochloric acid and zinc, mixed in the chamber, would produce hydrogen, which, reacting with limestone, could explain the salt and gypsum. This process could enhance the pyramid's vibrations, generating energy. This theory leads to the idea that the Egyptians might have used this energy for practical purposes. In 1996, Austrian writers Peter Krasse and Rainer Habeck suggested that ancient Egyptians might have had electric lights, based on reliefs showing what they interpreted as light bulbs. Their theory is supported by Austrian engineer Walter Garn's experiments, though he used traditional electricity rather than pyramid power. Number 4. Carved stone balls. Carved stone balls, known as petrospheres, date back to the late Neolithic period and might even extend to the Iron Age. They are mostly found in Scotland, but have also been discovered in other parts of Britain and Ireland. These balls are usually round, though some are oval, and they tend to be about 7 centimeters in diameter. They can have anywhere from 3 to 160 knobs sticking out from their surfaces. Some of these balls are plain, except for the knobs, while others are decorated with intricate patterns. Scholars have come up with many theories about the purpose or meaning of these balls, but none have been widely accepted. They should not be confused with the larger smooth stone spheres found in Costa Rica. Carved stone balls can be up to 5,200 years old, spanning from the late Neolithic period to at least the Bronze Age. Most of these balls have been found in northeast Scotland, especially in Aberdeenshire, which is located to the east of the Grampian Mountains. The distribution of these balls is similar to that of Pictish symbols, leading to early speculation that they might be Pictish artifacts. Their distribution also aligns with that of the recumbent stone circles. These objects are relatively easy to move, and a few have been found on various Scottish islands like Iona, Skye, and Harris, as well as in places like Hawick, Wigtownshire, and Orkney. Outside Scotland, they have been discovered in Ireland, England, and even Norway, where it is believed that a Norseman might have brought one back from Scotland. By the late 1970s, 387 of these balls had been recorded, with Aberdeenshire holding the largest number of 169. By 1983, the count had risen to 411, and by 2015, over 425 had been documented. The British Museum has a collection of over 30 carved balls from Scotland, Ireland, and Northern England. Many of these balls were found by chance due to agricultural activities, and their original discovery sites are often unknown. Some were discovered at the Neolithic settlement of Skara Brae and the Dunad Hill Fort. The distribution of these balls resembles that of mace heads, which were used both as weapons and ceremonial objects. The lack of detailed context makes it difficult to interpret their purpose accurately. Often, only aesthetically pleasing balls were collected, leaving the less decorative or damaged ones behind. At Traprain Law in East Lothian, plain sandstone balls with visible shaping marks were also found. These are likely from the 4th to 3rd centuries BC and are not decorated or knobbed. In 2013, archaeologists uncovered a carved stone ball at Ness of Brodgar, a rare find in its original archaeological context. Similarly, undecorated polished stone balls were discovered in a 5,500-year-old tomb at Tresness on Orkney. The balls are made from various materials, with greenstone being a broad term for dark greenish rocks like diorites and serpentinite. Other materials include sandstone, quartzite, and even gabbro, a hard stone that is difficult to carve. Some balls are made from hornblende gneiss and granitic gneiss, which are also challenging to work with. Highly decorated examples are mainly crafted from sandstone or serpentine. A number of these balls have yet to be fully examined to determine their composition. Number 3. Roman Dodecahedron. A Roman dodecahedron, sometimes called a Gallo-Roman dodecahedron, is a small, hollow object made from copper alloy. It has a unique shape, a regular dodecahedron, which means it has 12 flat, 5-sided faces. Each of these faces has a circular hole in the center, but the holes vary in size. These holes connect to the hollow inside of the object. At each corner of the dodecahedron, there's a small, knob-like protrusion. These intriguing objects date back to the 2nd to 4th centuries AD, but their exact purpose is still a mystery. They show almost no signs of wear and have no numbers or letters engraved on them, leaving their function open to speculation. The first dodecahedron was discovered in 1739. Since then, over 130 similar items have been found across Europe, in countries like Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Hungary, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. Interestingly, none have been found in the heart of the Roman Empire, Italy. In 2023, amateur archaeologists unearthed a well-preserved dodecahedron in the small village of Norton Disney in Lincolnshire, UK. This discovery brought the total to 33 such objects found in Roman Britain. This particular dodecahedron is currently on display at the Lincoln Museum in Lincolnshire until October 2024. These dodecahedra come in various sizes, ranging from 4 to 11 centimeters. A similar object, an icosahedron, a shape with 20 faces, was also discovered after being mistakenly identified as a dodecahedron for some time. This icosahedron was found near Arloff, Germany, and is now exhibited in the Rheinisches Landesmuseum in Bonn. Interestingly, no historical records or drawings from the time mention these dodecahedrons. Over the years, people have suggested various possible uses for them. Some believe they might have been used as tools for measuring distances or the size of objects, though this idea is doubted because the dodecahedrons lack the necessary markings to be accurate instruments. Others have proposed that they were used for spool knitting to make gloves. But this theory has issues too, like the fact that spool knitting wasn't known until much later and the bronze material seems unsuitable. Other ideas include them being part of a child's toy, decorative items, or even tools for testing the skills of a metalsmith. Some of these dodecahedra were found buried in coin hoards, suggesting they might have been valuable or possibly related to coin making, like checking the size of coins to ensure they weren't clipped. Another theory is that they were religious objects or even used for fortune-telling, especially since many have been found in Gallo-Roman sites. It's also possible that they were used to demonstrate a metalsmith's skill, perhaps as a way to gain entry into a guild or to show off their work to potential customers, given the cost of bronze and the craftsmanship required to make such an object. In the 19th century, some antiquarians speculated that these dodecahedrons might have been weapons, like a mace head or a type of bullet, but this idea was dismissed because the objects were too light to be effective as weapons. Interestingly, smaller dodecahedra with similar features, holes and knobs, made from gold have been found in Southeast Asia along the Maritime Silk Road. These objects, dating back to the Roman era, suggest the influence of Mediterranean trade on the region. Examples include those discovered in Oc Eo, Vietnam, where they were linked to the ancient Funan civilization's economy. Similar gold dodecahedrons have also been found in the Pew city-states and Khao Sam Kayo. Number 2. Lock ring. A lock ring is a beautiful piece of jewelry from the late Bronze Age, typically worn as a hair ornament. This unique accessory is shaped like a partial ring, penannular, and is usually made of gold. The craftsmanship of these ornaments is highly detailed and shows the incredible skill of the ancient goldsmiths who made them. The name lock ring comes from the idea that it was likely used to hold hair in place. These rings are believed to have first appeared in Ireland around the middle of the 8th century BC. They continued to be made in Ireland, especially near the River Shannon, until the 7th century BC. Similar lock rings have also been found in Great Britain and France. A lock ring is a hollow piece of metal with an open center. It has a triangular cross-section and is secured by a strip that binds it together. Most lock rings were crafted from 4 main parts: a split metal tube, 2 triangular faceplates with gaps, and a circular strip that holds everything together. Although gold was the most common material, some lock rings were made of bronze or a combination of materials. Bronze lock rings are mostly found in France and are usually made locally. The faceplates of these rings could be plain or decorated with patterns like concentric lines, hatching, or triangles. Many faceplates were made from gold sheets, while a few were crafted from individual gold wires that were soldered together. The edges of the faceplates were typically held in place by a binding strip made of the same material. The size of these ornaments varied widely, ranging from 18 millimeters to 100 millimeters in diameter. The lock rings were first identified by archaeologists in the mid-19th century. They were originally described as objects of unknown use: bullae, hair pendants, double conical beads, hair rings, and lock rings. The first lock rings likely originated in Ireland by the mid-8th century BC and continued to be produced there into the 7th century BC. Many lock rings, along with other finely crafted gold objects, have been discovered in the River Shannon area in Ireland, particularly in North Munster. Lock rings are found in 4 main regions: Ireland, North Britain, South Britain, and France. They spread outside of Ireland in 2 ways: northwards to Wales, northeast England, and Scotland, and southeastwards to southeast England. In Europe, lock rings are mostly found in northwestern France. During the Late Bronze Age, finely crafted gold objects like lock rings were symbols of wealth and status. These ornaments are especially interesting to scholars because of the complexity and skill involved in their creation. As archaeologist George Yogan noted, like the gold bar torques of an earlier phase, the lock rings demonstrate the innovating tendency of the goldsmith and the strength of the insular, especially the Irish, Late Bronze Age industry during its mature and final phase. Number 1. Romano-British Cosmetic Grinder. In a small, boat-shaped tool made of copper alloy, used during the Late Iron Age and Roman times, around 1 to 200 AD. This tool, known as a cosmetic mortar, is 55 millimeters long and 6 milliliters wide, with a smooth, simple design, and a loop at one end for easy hanging. These cosmetic grinders were small, 2-part kits made of copper alloy. The set consisted of a mortar, which was a long, curved container with grooves, and a pestle, which could be either rod-like and pointed or shaped like a rocker. These tools were often decorated with loops for hanging and sometimes featured ends shaped like human or animal figures, making them distinctly British artifacts. People would place small amounts of powder or cosmetics inside this mortar and grind them up. These mortars were often part of a set, paired with a matching pestle. Both pieces are finely crafted, with a dull golden brown surface that has been carefully cleaned. The mortar itself is slightly asymmetrical, which might have been done on purpose. The bow of the mortar is broad and elliptical, with a plain surface, and the loop at one end is circular and integrated into the design. These cosmetic mortars are unique to Roman Britain, with only one found outside of Britain, in northern France. They were believed to be used for grinding small quantities of powder or cosmetics, and are thought to be linked to fertility due to their crescent shape and the occasional decoration of male and female animal heads at the ends. Water birds and other bird motifs frequently appeared as decorations, echoing similar designs found on other Roman British items like cups and buckets. Some sets even featured phallic symbols, which suggest a link to fertility rituals or beliefs. Studies of these tools show that they were used by rubbing them together in a side-to-side grinding motion, which was different from the circular mixing technique common in the rest of the Roman Empire. This difference hints at a uniquely British tradition that continued even as the island became more Romanized. The true mystery lies not in how these grinders were used, but in what they were used to prepare. Some believe they were used to make medicines, aphrodisiacs, cosmetics, or even narcotics. However, No one has been able to analyze the contents of these mortars, because well-meaning amateur finders often cleaned them, wiping away any residue. Cosmetic grinders offer us a glimpse into the complex cultural exchanges of Roman Britain. The frequent use of animal imagery suggests a connection to native British spirituality, where certain animals were believed to have symbolic or totemic power. Which of these historical objects did you find the most intriguing? Let us know your answer in the comments section.